Can you hear me loud and clear? Okay, I think some of us can. I'm hearing some feedback. Okay, thank you. Billions Unlimited, Akpan. All right, thank you. All right, so this afternoon session, we'll look at the technicals and we start with the fundamentals anyway. Actually, the physical training session in Lagos, we have a sizable number of students here. So we'll go to forexfactory.com. For those in Lagos, you can see that I'll do a lot of multitasking this afternoon so that the Lagos people are not there. Okay, so we have, we're just looking at the dollar this afternoon. We have 3 news events coming from the United States. Good afternoon, Madam Unaji. So 3 events coming from the United States. We have the final GDP quarterly unemployment claims, and we have the final GDP price index quarterly. So let's look briefly at what each of these events stands for. So for the final GDP quarterly, it measures the annualized change in the inflation-adjusted value of all goods and services produced by the economy. An actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. And for the unemployment claims, this measures the number of individuals who filed for unemployment insurance for the first time during the past week. Actual less than forecast is good for currency. And the last one is the final GDP price index quarterly. It measures the annualized change in the price of goods and services included in GDP. Actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. Now, this is my view or my analysis. Now we're going to look for 2 scenarios where all the data comes out good for the dollar, either as actual greater than forecast, less than forecast, whichever one. We look at the scenario where they are all good, and in that instance, we expect the color of the data to be green. If it's all good, the color will be green, and at that instance, we're expecting a bullish movement on the dollar. And if on the other hand, the data comes out bad for the dollar, the color will be in red, and that will lead to movement and bearish movements on the dollar. Now, there's also a possibility, since some of these data are not that related. For example, the GDP, we have GDP on both sides. We have final GDP quarterly, final GDP price index. There's GDP reflecting twice, and we have unemployment claims, which is a completely different data. So it's possible the data may not all align. We may have some to be good for the dollar, while some may be bad for the dollar. That's a possibility. And that may lead to some spikes in the market. Market may just do a buying and selling simultaneously if that happens. So that's another possibility we should look out for, in this news. But the 2 major things we're looking out for is if the news is good for the dollar, which will encourage us to buy the dollar, and if it's bad for the dollar, which can help us look in the direction of selling the dollar. So that's all I can say from what I'm seeing on the Forex Factory. But then I'll go over now to my charts and we'll look at what to expect from a technical perspective, looking at the higher time frames. So I'll switch over now to my MT4. And I believe you can see my MT4 chart now. And I'll look at the dollar, specifically at the USD CHF. Now for the USD CHF, we give our outlook on dollar since January to be bearish, and so far the dollar has dropped to the tune of about 400 pips. Now, recently, price hit a key level, a previous support, which turned resistance here, which turned support again, and currently it's also a support. So it's a key level. So at this level, we're expecting price to bounce in the bullish direction of the dollar. In some few days in recent times, we've seen some slight bullish movement on the dollar. But then another thing we're seeing is a possible formation of an inverse head and shoulder pattern. An inverse head and shoulder pattern, which is a bullish pattern. Now, if this works out, then that could lead to some bullish movement on the dollar. So if the data to be released by 1:30 comes out good for the dollar, with what we're seeing technically, then we expect a bullish movement on the dollar. Now, another fundamental that will help dollar go up is a recent information about an investment of $1.4 trillion in the US economy by the government of the United Arab Emirates. This money is meant for is an investment into artificial intelligence, semiconductors, manufacturing, and other good things for the American economy. Now, this is expected to boost employment and generally the economy of the United States. So all these fundamentals and the technical, if they align with the data to be released by 1:30 p.m. this afternoon, we should see a bullish movement in the dollar, which could be a long-term bullish movement. However, if the data comes out bad for the dollar, it's not a problem. Price will just retest this previous support zone and still in future, still go back in a bullish direction. But I'm more favorable towards a bullish outbreak on the dollar when this data is released, just in the next like 40 minutes from now. So I hold a bullish outlook on the dollar. Now, later today, another instrument I'm paying attention to is the US oil, the USOUSD. And I have a bearish outlook on the US oil. Why am I looking at a bearish outlook? On the daily time frame, price hit a previous a support turn resistance. We have a support which turn resistance here and here, coupled with a trend line that is descending right here, all of them forming a confluence at this point. So technically, I'm expecting a reversal in the price of crude oil. And I can flip down to my 1 hour time frame and I can see a rising wedge pattern. Price has actually broken out below the lower trend line. It's already in the sell region. And RSI is clearly below 50, MACD is below 0. Currently, what we are seeing here is a retracement. I believe with time, if price can break below this recent low, then we should see a further bearish movement on the US oil. Another thing that could lead to a further bearish break on the US oil is the ongoing talk between the United States government, that's Donald Trump, and the OPEC. Trump is trying to talk to OPEC to reduce the global price of crude oil. So if that discussion sails through, that will lead to further bearish breakout of a bearish direction on the crude oil, which will favor this technical setup that we're currently seeing on the US oil. So I maintain a bullish outlook on the US dollar and I'm bearish on the US oil. Now, I'll take a few questions as a roundup. I can see gold and BTC, and those are the two I'm going to check as I round up this session. So I'll check on gold and BTC, and we'll be done with this analysis. All right, from the weekly time frame, okay, yeah, from my weekly outlook, even the daily for some time, I've had a long-term bullish movement on gold, but recently price also hit the trend line, the upper trend line, acting as a resistance. And presently, you can see price has done a series of higher highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We've seen some retest, a retracement, price is up. Now, price is back at a confluence point here, a place where, at least at the moment we're speaking now, is on a resistance level, which aligns with the upper trend line. Now, I said from the data from the US this afternoon, possibly we're looking at a bullish movement on the dollar. If you're having a bullish movement on the dollar, technically we should be looking for a bearish movement on gold. And gold is at a confluence between the resistance and the trend line. Let's take it down to 1 hour. Price is actually, yeah, we can see it's at a resistance level from daily down to 1 hour. Now, if gold is unable to break above this resistance level, then we expect the possibility of a bearish movement on gold. So except the data from the United States comes out bad from the dollar, for the dollar rather, if it comes out bad for the dollar, that could break this level. But technically at the moment, I favor a bearish outlook on gold, except there's any other change in the market. And finally, I'll look at BTC USD. The long-term move of the BTC still remains bullish from what I'm seeing on the weekly time frame. Let's go down to the daily 4 hour. I'm not seeing much on the daily. Okay, BTC is currently ranging. It's ranging on the 4 hour. It's experiencing a range. A range is a consolidation. For BTC, if it breaks out above this range, it will buy. And if it breaks out below, it will sell. So it's in a range. BTC is in a range currently. And the range could break out on either side. But let's still see if we can filter further from the daily. Now, from the daily, the trend line, there's a descending trend line here, where price truly has been testing that trend line. So I may favor more of a bearish breakout because of that trend line from the daily time frame. So I favor a bearish trend line, a bearish breakout on BTC on the 4 hour time frame. All right, so let me just do a little recap. I said this afternoon, we're expecting a bullish break on gold. We're bearish on crude oil. We're bearish on gold, and we're also bearish on BTC USD. All right, that will be all from my analysis this afternoon. Please trade safe and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.